The Detroit Lions are taking over the NFL. So we're going to be going through that and 3 other stories in today's video. So make sure to like this video, and if you want more Detroit Lions news content like this, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit that red button down below. So the first story is the Detroit Lions signed 2 practice squad players to the 53-man roster to elevate an OT. Now the Detroit Lions are bringing up 3 players from the practice squad for the Bears game, which that just happened, but on top of that, it could definitely be a big thing also moving forward. So, like we mentioned, they did end up being a part of the roster for the Chicago Bears, but given that it has been an injury-riddled week or a couple of weeks for the Detroit Lions, they have little time to prepare, so it's no surprise that the Lions have called in these reinforcements. If you didn't know already, they previously reported that Khalif Raymond is now on the injured reserve and will miss the next 4 games, or now 3 games. However, the Lions are reportedly optimistic that Raymond will return before the season is through. So it would be good to have him when it comes playoff time and hopefully help them win an NFL Super Bowl. Now, to help reinforce Detroit's receiver and special teams rooms, the Lions actually did move up Maurice Alexander from the practice squad, which I think was fantastic, and Alexander has a lot of punt return experience both in college and the USFL. So it seems quite likely he's fill Raymond's vacancy there. A reminder that he does not also need this for the Ford Field during the 2023 preseason. Now, additionally, the Lions have signed also linebacker David Long to the 53-man roster from the practice squad, which was huge. And Long has only been with the team for 10 days. And although he did, or was a part of that roster for the Chicago Bears, I think we will definitely see a lot more from him when it comes to the next games coming up. Now, the staff has expressed excitement about adding him on a longer term when it comes to the next couple of games and an elevation from the practice squad last week. Now, Long ended up playing 13 defensive snaps and 5 special teams against the Colts, and Coach Dan Campbell said on Monday on how he was impressed with Long's performance. "We used Long more than we thought we might," Campbell said. And man, as the game went on, getting David in there felt like he had a grasp on the calls going into the game, and we felt like it was more kind of his type of game. He showed promise. He had some players in space for us, so that was good to see. Finally, the Lions also made a temporary elevation from the practice squad, bringing up offensive tackle Jamario Jones, and also this is obviously a reaction to the injury of Taylor Decker last week, who suffered knee and ankle injuries in Indianapolis. While Decker was optimistic about playing this week immediately after the game, we actually did see that while Decker had this, Campbell was more pessimistic the next day, and the Detroit appears to be playing it safe with their starting left tackle. So Jones gives the Lions another option in their lineup as someone who has plenty of experience. The 28-year-old offensive tackle has made 23 game appearances and even starts in his career, while Dan Skipper is more likely to be the player that starts over the next couple of weeks. Jones will be available in depth in case the Lions suffer another injury at that position. Now, on top of this as well, what we also do see is that 2 Detroit Lions stars are actually not eligible for the 2025 Pro Bowl voting, which is pretty sad, and it also does make a lot of Detroit Lions fans mad as well. Now, Detroit Lions boast one of the deepest rosters in the NFL, as general manager Brad Holmes has done a masterful job building the team through the draft and utilizing free agency to patch up some holes. The Lions are currently on a great record, and also with Detroit having an elite roster, the franchise is expected to have multiple players selected in the Pro Bowl. Voting for the Pro Bowl opened last Monday and will close on December 23, and this season's Pro Bowl festivities will once again be held in Orlando, Florida, 1 week before Super Bowl and at Caesar Superdome in New Orleans. Though fan vote only accounts for 33% at the Pro Bowl voting, as players and coaches decide the other 2/3 of the vote, fans getting involved in the process of selecting players for this iconic game is great for the sport. Fans will enjoy sending their favorite players to Orlando, but Lions Nation and other football fans won't be able to vote for edge rusher Aiden Hutchinson or wide receiver Jameson Williams on their Pro Bowl ballots in 2024. Before suffering a season-ending leg injury, Hutchinson was playing at Defensive Player of the Year level, and the 2022 #2 overall pick posted 7.5 sacks and 45 quarterback pressures in 5 games. While players on injured reserve who haven't played at least 6 games aren't
aren't eligible to make the Pro Bowl, meaning Hutchinson will not be a Pro Bowler this season. Williams is having an explosive 2024 campaign, hauling in 29 catches for the 602 yards and 4 touchdowns, and the 2024 first-round pick is second in the NFL in yards per catch, but is ineligible to make the Pro Bowl deserving due to serving 2-game suspension and violating the NFL's performance-enhancing substance policy on October 24. Players have suspended specifically for performance-enhancing substance policy can't be selected to the Pro Bowl. Though it is unfortunate that Hutchinson and Williams can't be in Pro Bowlers in 2024, the pair have a bright future and should have plenty opportunities in the future as well.
The second story is the Lions' $8 million breakout defender predicted to leave the Detroit Lions for the Chargers. One of the most pleasant surprises of the Detroit Lions 2024 campaign has been the improved play of former second-round pick and defensive lineman Levin Osweiler. Now, after a poor start to his career that was plagued by injury and ineffectiveness, the Washington product showed signs that he was turning the corner during the offseason. Now, when it comes to Levy, he has since proven that there was no mirage. The 26-year-old showed improvement as a run defender and pass rusher and has surpassed his career highs in sacks and pressures with 1.5 and 29 respectively. As a result of his improved play, Levy has been on the field for 61% of the snaps, the highest share of his career. Unfortunately, the Lions may only get to enjoy the new Levy for one season, as he sets to become a free agent in 2025 and could attract plenty of attention following his resurgence in 2024. With so much invested in defensive line already, Detroit may not retain him, and if that happens, Bleacher Report's Alex Ballantyne believes Levi could end up with the Los Angeles Chargers. The Chargers are going to have to look at the class of free agent defensive tackles. Tear Tart, Poona Ford have played roles for the LA defense, and both are set to become free agents. Levy stands out as a potential fit, though. His physicality is good enough for Dan Campbell, and he's become a mainstay on the Lions' defensive line. Harbaugh would like him for similar reasons. If all things are equal, one thing the Chargers can offer Levi that the Lions can't is a full-time starting job. Detroit has its interior spots locked up in 2025 with DJ Reader and Alan McNeil, although Reader will be a free agent in 2026. Meanwhile, the Chargers have multiple starters set to hit free agency. Whatever the case may be, with the kind of interest Levi is likely to draw in free agency, there's a chance he won't be back in Detroit next year, and the Chargers are a realistic landing spot for him. Now, Lions place another veteran player as well on the injured reserve. The Detroit Lions are putting wide receiver and punt returner Caleb Raymond on injured reserve due to a foot injury, according to an announcement from the team on Wednesday. Being placed on injured reserve means Raymond will miss at least the next 4 games. Raymond's injury occurred midway through the third quarter of Detroit's 24-6 win over the Indianapolis Colts at Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday. His feet hit the ground awkwardly during a punt return, and he did not return to the game after being helped off by training staff. Lions head coach Dan Campbell said Tuesday that the club believed Raymond avoided a worst-case scenario but was waiting a second opinion. The optimism surrounding a later this season seems to reflect the confirmation of their positive initial results. Could be, but I don't know that for sure. Campbell said when asked if Raymond's injury was season ending, the first word we got was a positive, we're just waiting on a second opinion. In Raymond's absence, All-Pro receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown handled punt return duties for the Lions last Sunday. Campbell said, "We may just do that." Now, when asked if St. Brown will continue in that role, although the comment should be probably to be taken with a grain of salt, it came at a time in the press conference where Campbell was making several tongue-in-cheek compliments, including a portion where he said the guys have been going 100% in practice on a short week. So with week 14 almost here, we got our money on the Detroit Lions beating the Green Bay Packers. Now, I love using BetUS. They have the fastest payouts in the industry, and right now they have a 150% bonus on your first deposit, and then 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. So I definitely go check them out. They are one of the best that I use. They have fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, which I absolutely love. So definitely go check out BetUS. Like I mentioned, 150% bonus on your first deposit, and then 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. So definitely go check them out. Thank you again, BetUS, and let's get back into the video. The third story is that Dan Campbell's confidence in line injury replacement at cornerback. Now, when it comes to a look at the Detroit Lions injury replacement options at cornerback and Dan Campbell's thoughts on each of them. Now, for the second week straight, the Detroit Lions are expected to be without a starting outside cornerback, and last week, Lions rookie Terrion Arnold missed the Colts game with a groin injury, and then on top of that, we also saw in the Chicago Bears game. Now, with that being said, the Lions have a lot of options, and Campbell expressed confidence in the players that they have, and let's run through some of the options that they did mention. Now, first starting off with Emmanuel Moseley. Now, the Lions returned Moseley from injured reserve last week after he had suffered a torn pectoral muscle during joint practices. Prior to the injury, Moseley was in line to compete for the starting nickel cornerback job, but he has plenty of experience at outside cornerback as well. Upon his return last week, Moseley was limited to just special teams, as the Lions eased him back into play. However, Campbell said the training wheels are off, and if the Lions need him to play a defensive role on Thursday, he's ready to do so. He went out there, competed, did a good job on special teams for us, but yeah, I think he's ready, Campbell said Monday.